Hi boys and girls. Today we are starting our Britto initials. Now with Britto, he loved to use pattern, so the only thing we are putting on our paper besides pattern, there's two things. One is your initial. Your initial is the first letter of your first name, also the first letter of your last name, but today we're just focusing on the first letter of our first name. I'm going to use a letter K. And we are going to take the tracer and hold it down with one hand and then trace around the edge with the other. You can put your letter on your paper however you want. It can be straight, it can be tilted like mine is. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do is make sure that it is facing the right direction. Now, I have my letter K. The other thing I'm going to put on my paper is an object that also begins with the first letter of my first name. Now, since I used K, I have to think of an object that starts with a K. I am going to use a kite. So in the background of your paper, anywhere, you're not drawing a kite, but whatever you draw is going to go somewhere in the background. Give it a tail. Okay, now boys and girls, the last things we're going to add, we already talked about, is patterns. You need one pattern in the background and one pattern in your letter. So that's two different patterns, one for the background and one for the letter. A pattern is a line that repeats or a shape that repeats. So you can choose a line or a shape and make it repeat, and that can be your pattern. If you're having trouble thinking of patterns, you can go ahead and look at the pattern poster on the supply closet door to give you some inspiration. Okay, boys and girls, I used a cloud pattern for my background and I put a star pattern in my letter K. The one thing I want to tell you about the patterns you choose is some people like to do very intricate patterns or complicated patterns, kind of like this, where it's something very small and it takes a very long time to do. Look, I'm not even done with one line of this pattern yet, and it's taking pretty long. So I need you to think right now. When I'm doing my pattern, do I want a very intricate or complicated pattern? Or do I want a pattern that is easy to create and easy to trace? Because each and every one of you needs to get a Sharpie after you're done creating your patterns and trace over the line. So if we had a whole background of this that we had to draw once and then trace once, it might take too long. If you want to use this pattern, that's fine. What I'm going to suggest is making it bigger so it doesn't take too long. Make your patterns bigger. If they're very tiny, like a bunch of tiny triangles, it's going to take forever and your hand will get tired and then you won't want to complete your art. So choose something that will help you so that you do want to complete your art and you have fun doing this and you're not torturing yourself. So, like I said, the next step is to Sharpie all your work that is on the paper. That's every single line that you want to keep needs to be Sharpied. When you're Sharpieing, it is more than okay for you to turn your paper so that you can have a better angle at the lines you are making. Because sometimes it's very hard to see past your hand when you're doing a line, so turning your paper can really help. And also, if you're Sharpieing and you realize that you accidentally missed a line, it's better to just make the Sharpie line that you already have, make that your line. Because if we go back and try to go over the correct line right next to another Sharpie line, all we're gonna end up with is a big black spot. And I know, unless black spots were part of your pattern, I know that that probably wasn't part of your design. So just remember that we can always erase pencil, but we can't erase the Sharpie. Then, boys and girls, when you're done Sharpieing, that is it for today. If you don't get done during this class period, that is fine. All these steps can be continued next time. Have fun. Bye.